Man, school's finally started up and everything's going pretty well. Maybe since some of it's online, this shit will be easy and I can pump out some videos. Fuck. Yeah, I wanted to actually try to have an upload schedule and run this channel consistently, but school cannot keep its cock out of my ass for more than 10 minutes at a time. I'm willingly skipping an assignment to write the script, and God knows when this video will actually see the light of day, but hey, it's something. Anyways, last time we were here, we tore open the Flesh of Reverie, the first part of the Ocular Miracle series. Today we're reviewing part 2 of the series, Faith. In my opinion, this is the worst of the 3 parts, so get ready to have your feelings hurt if you're a diehard fan of this level. Just like last time, Technical is here to talk about the gameplay, so I'm going to roll the intro and turn things over to him.
Carry fade, rolling green from the Garden of Eden. And when I'm in the grave, I will be smoking weed with Jesus. Pass the blunt to something that surpasses our overseen. An Adam in the back sleeping, an apple that Eve is eating.
Faith's gameplay is likely the most interesting of the 3 levels in the Ocular Miracle trilogy. Not the best, not the worst, just the most interesting, and that has lots to do with how the level feels and how it plays. Just like we did in Reverie's review, let's start from the top and work our way forward. Starting with what most seem to call the best part of all 3 Ocular Miracle levels, Metal Face. Personally, I don't see the appeal for this part, at least not as much as others seem to. This part always felt super awkward to me all the way through, no matter what changes I would make to it, and I made a fair bit of them. It's worth pointing out that there is actually a very annoying bug at the pink orbs on the bottom part of the start of the duel at 11%. Occasionally, your cube will just hit the spikes on the top, and no matter what I tried to do to fix it, nothing really worked. I guess there could have been other ways around it, but it shouldn't be that way in the first place. It also doesn't help that this duel is the hardest part of the entire level, and even potentially the hardest part in every Ocular Miracle trilogy level. Next, we have the one part that everyone talked about before these levels were released, and for good reason. To the public eye, Angry Boy's part looks insane with all of the crazy gameplay and hard to see duels. However, despite being difficult to learn, this part is actually pretty simple and easy once you know what you're doing. The next part, made by Cool Boom, is something I could compare to the likes of Sedulous, at least in terms of how the gameplay feels. This part is all about knowing where to hold, and if you have that in mind, it's essentially free. Unfortunately, it's likely the most awkward and out of sync part in all of Faith. All of the orb placements make everything seem kind of unnatural in a way, I guess, especially in the first half. Now, so far, I've referred to every part in Faith as sort of fun, yet very awkward. From here on out is where the level gets much more fun in my opinion. I'm not sure what it is about it, but I absolutely love Jazz Clown and Saquex's part to death. Everything about this part is super fast and enjoyable, especially after the changes and fixes that were done to it. You really do feel a rush going through this part, which is very uncommon for a GD level. Although it is still a bit weird like the earlier parts, at least it genuinely feels satisfying to go through. Finally, after over a minute of crazy and fast-paced gameplay, we get a break. A nice, slow, easy ship part to help calm down the player after all they just went through. This mini-ship acts as a perfect segue in between each half of the level, and, unrelated to this video, it also is near the perfect halfway point in Ocular Miracle. It's one of the best parts of this type in any level, in my opinion. After the slow mini-ship, we get a slightly faster mini-part that changes game modes every few seconds. This part, despite being one of the slowest in the level, is actually one of the better parts, as it also helps calm down the player from the insanity that they just went through. It's not too fast, not too slow, and it fits the song perfectly. My biggest gripe with this entire section is that it's by far the most inconsistent in the level. At times, it feels like you need to click perfectly in order to get something to work the way it's supposed to. And finally, we have Jonathan's part, which is obviously very popular among the general public, and just like Angry Boy's part, it's for very good reason. It's an amazing part of the song, and the gameplay fits perfectly with it. It's a good ending part to get you ready for the final level of the Ocular Miracle trilogy. On top of that, it's also very fun and satisfying to go through, especially from the beginning of the level. My only real complaint is the way some things are structured in the ball part starting at 88%. Some of the platforms extend out from the spikes that exist and cause you to either clip the side of them and not make it to the next one, or just simply run into them and die. It's a really odd structuring choice that can cause issues at times. Overall, Faith is a decent improvement over Reverie, being much more satisfying as well as very fast paced through a greater chunk of the level. Despite being more awkward than its predecessor, it generally is a much better experience. In the end, I'd rate Faith's gameplay an 8 out of 10. No part is inherently bad, and the good parts are very, very good.
In the Reverie review, I said I loved Reverie's endscreen because of the way it foreshadowed the first part in Faith. Here we get to see this in action as Metalface kicks off the level. By my own personal definition of what makes a good part, this should be a total shit show. The style changes every 2 seconds, there's incorrect 3D everywhere, each section is completely inconsistent with the last, and the ending is plain fucking lazy. And you know what? After saying all that, I still love this part. There's something about Metalface's levels and Mega Collab parts that always come across as satisfying to me, even when they're not conventional in the slightest. The great colors and cool background help this part a lot, but I still can't quite say why it's one of my favorites. It just simply is. I will say this 8-bit-esque part doesn't sit right with me, as it doesn't relate to anything around it at all, and I'm genuinely disturbed by the orbs being this large. Big orbs are fucking scary, man. Next up is Angry Boy. This was one of the most hyped parts during the early days of Ocular Miracle being a thing, which you can tell because this singular part managed to spawn its own "this is how easy this part really is" video. Quick shout out to all the lazy douche nuggets who make hundreds of thousands of views by no-clipping random extreme demons. I mean, look at this shit, this is embarrassing. Anyways, back to Angry Boy, I like this part a lot. It's a very complex and crowded part, but I wouldn't say it's over-decorated. The structuring is really satisfying, and the decoration works perfectly for every single block. I'm mixed on the pulses here, as I like the different colors and tones that the blocks in Air Deco use, but then the outlines and ground are out here trying to give all the epileptics in the crowd a fucking seizure. If Pokemon can't get away with it, then neither can you, Angry. I also don't like these weird vine things at the end of the part, and I'm glad they weren't used anywhere else. Still, this is a super solid part, and definitely one of the most memorable in the entire trilogy. So Yakob, I hear you saying, white-knuckling your desk in anticipation. I thought you said that Faith was your least favorite level in the series, but you gave great reviews to the first 2 parts. Well, buckle your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm about to crash a fucking bus into Zimniar's part. Let me lay this out on the table right now. I despise this part. From the day it was showcased, it's been one of my least favorite Mega Collab parts of all time. The one thing I will praise Zimniar for is this layering— oh, nope, never mind. I gave pretty low marks to the core part in Reverie last episode, but this manages to strip away the 2 things I still liked about that part, which were the colors and structuring. This part also has a complete imbalance in decoration, with the blocks and background being classic cram and jam core while the ground is butt-fuck naked. What's the point of a core part where you do literally nothing to the ground at all? The background deco is also so dark that it might as well not exist. That, combined with the really weak pulses and the random ass glow balls, just makes this part feel foggy and hazy despite having a number of objects larger than the amount of money Jeff Bezos spends on hookers and coke every Christmas. This part just makes me angry, and I actually don't understand why it was left in the final product. Well, with the worst out of the way, we slide into a lazy black transition and then into Sequix. I've personally been spoiled with fantastic Sequix parts over the years. I mean, just look at this fucking this Entomb part. So this one feels a bit lackluster to me in comparison. One of the biggest problems for me is that it feels messier and hazier than his usual work, but I think that's because of the spamming of the giant fucking glow balls placed every 2 blocks. Not that I'm judging him for doing that, I mean, just take a look at my old shit, it's embarrassing. As usual from Sequix, his ability to flawlessly layer 800 different things shines beautifully here, and the block design is solid. The background here has the exact same problem that Zimniar's did, which is that it exists, but most of it is so faded that it might as well not. Part of this is because YouTube makes everything look darker, but it's definitely not being helped by the 4x speed for basically the entire part. Next up is Salaxium, and I feel like the best way to describe this part is simply incomplete. I can't entirely say why I feel this way, as it has full blocks, really nice ground deco, and a custom background. I guess you could say it's lacking in air deco, but that still doesn't explain why this part feels so empty to me. This feeling isn't helped by the weird shading the whole part has. A lot of glow here feels wrong to me, and just like the emptiness issue, I'm not really sure why. At this point it probably sounds like I'm hating on this part for no reason, but I honestly still like it quite a bit. The colors are awesome, the ground design is complex and super fucking cool, and the movements work with everything else perfectly. I really don't have too much to say, this part is just weird for me, man. Earlier I got to rip into some shittier core with Zimniar, and now I get to rip into some shitty glow. As much as I hate to dog on the homeboys, Surge, this part ain't it. For starters, there are chunks of ground that are completely empty right next to other pieces of ground that you can't even see because they're being smothered in glow harder than I get smothered by anime titties. The block decoration looks like it's all on the same layer with absolutely no attempt to shade or clean up any of the rough patches, and the air deco has like 800 different things happening at once, like these arrows that are bigger than your fucking icon, or these vine things that attach to literally nothing. On top of that, the entire part is drowned out by these glow sun rays that give more than just skin cancer. This part feels like a mismatch of random designs put together and then covered up by gluttonous amounts of glow in an attempt to make things look somewhat consistent. When I reviewed Reverie, I tore a new asshole into ZeroSR's part, but ended things on a positive note by saying he had a much better part in Faith. Well, as you can see, I wasn't lying. You honestly can't even tell that these two parts are made by the same person. The improvement here is insane. My favorite thing about this part is the ground. It's so slick and visually pleasing. The vines in both the blocks and ground are super well made. They look natural and fit in with everything else in the part. If vines that sexy ever became sentient and decided to penetrate my butthole, there would be absolutely no resistance from me. Unfortunately, there are still a couple flaws I feel the need to point out. The way this part is structured is in 3 sections, each divided by a teleport portal. I feel like the part would feel much more consistent if it played out in a flat line instead of relying on these teleport portals. While this is a tiny nitpick that might not bother some people, it's always ruined the immersion for me. On top of this part suffers from the same issue Surges does, which is that it's smothered in glow. This becomes much more apparent after the first teleport portal, and it makes a generally neat and clean part feel messier than it actually is. You already know I don't like core, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that I'm not really a fan of Bertank88's part. Another thing I'm generally not a fan of are the all-white grounds, and of course, this part rocks the all-white harder than a Donald Trump rally. These blocks feel super flat and one-dimensional, and it doesn't help that any major color they had was sucked out right after you exit the ship at the beginning. For the entire second half of the part, air deco is reduced to the checkerboard background and a couple random glow pillars that are there just to be there, I guess. There aren't any pulses or flashes except for in transitions, and there might be 3 moving objects throughout the entire part. What it comes down to is that this part feels dead to me. It's extremely repetitive and boring, with little to no color variation and almost no movement. One thing I will praise Bertank for here are these 6 saw blade designs. They're layered perfectly and I wish they were used for more than half a second. HJ FOD makes me realize why this level is called Faith. I mean, look at the part, this shit looks like I'm entering the gates of heaven. Although it's primarily white like Bertank's part, HJ constantly mixes in different hues and shading to help his design stand out more. This part also uses pulses and moving objects, and the difference for me is huge. I love the rotating ground segments and these floaty particle things. They're super cool and I wish they were used throughout the entire part. Like Bertank, this part does feel like it gets a bit lazier in the second half, although that could be chalked up to the absence of the hella cool floaty things. Overall, this is a fantastic part to end the level on, and my faith that HJ FOD might actually be Jesus is growing every time I see him drop a new creation. This level is not well balanced in terms of decoration consistency at all. There are some super nice parts scattered throughout, but most of the parts end up being lazy or flat out bad. I'm gonna give the decoration a 6 out of 10 since the really good parts did shine, and I think Faith as a level is above your average Glow Mega Collab. Combining the 8 out of 10 for Tech's gameplay score and my 6 out of 10 for the deco, Faith ends up with a 7 out of 10 overall, actually beating out Reverie by half a point. This is pretty interesting to me since Faith is definitely my least favorite level of the bunch based off of how it looks, so I'm curious to see how Diligence will end up ranking among these two. As always, thanks for watching guys, it really does mean a lot to me. I also recommend sticking around past the intro of this video for a neat little bonus clip. Go for it.
As usual, I want to thank you guys for watching Yaki be a complete
Fuck
idiot.
you.
As usual, I want to thank you guys for watching Yaki be a complete idiot for 10 minutes straight. It means a lot. Yaki also wants to thank Techie Boy. I'm starting over. Yaki also wants to thank Techie Boy for being his special guest for these past 2 videos, Varium for providing footage, and me for being a colossal fucking distraction while he tries to get his video out on time, which is adorable.
That's the fucking truth.
It's adorable because I got to watch him mess up a bunch of times, and also reading his
Fuck
lines
you.
because he insisted.
Fuck you.